if we can finagle something like that.
That would be awesome.
Oh, we just got it.
15 seconds.
Alrighty. Oh, you know what? I forgot my notes. We'll have to
10
wing it.
seconds.
You can use mine if you want to.
I just may need to.
5,
You know what you can
4,
do is write your guys'
3,
name,
2,
like yours and then his, so I'd have it. Hello, everybody, and thank you, and welcome to another episode of Kevin Live. Kevin Live is a half-hour program that is hopefully going to be not only informative, but also always a little bit entertaining. Tonight, it's going to be kind of interesting because we're going to be tackling a topic that may not sound exciting or entertaining, but I assure you my guests will be nothing less but exciting and entertaining. We're going to be talking about the dreaded word mortgage. In that, I'm going to be talking, and our goal is to help inform you guys to maybe make some good decisions. If you're a first-time home buyer, this is the show you do not want to miss. This is the show that if you have a family, friend, or relative that's thinking about buying a home, you want to let them know about this because you want them to see this episode. So, but with that said, there's always a few things that I always got to do before I start my show. Now, last episode, I did some shout-outs. Through Twitter, I found out there was a couple Kevin viewing parties. You guys sent in pictures, and I have not yet posted them on Facebook yet, but I just want to say thank you, and if there's any more out there, I love it. Take a picture of you guys watching my show, and feel free to send it on in, because I'm going to be doing a collage or something, a lot of fun with that in just a little bit. The other thing I want to do is I want to do a special shout out tonight. This shout out goes to, I do shout outs. We've shout out to Boston. We've shout out to Philly. We've done all over the place. But this shout out is going to some very, very, very special viewers in Santiago, Chile. I want to say hello and thank you, my Chilean friends, for watching my show. I am deeply honored and surprised. And I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. It has been it was quite interesting. I feel very, very honored to have you watching my show. Next, before we pull on our guests, there has been some excitement happening on Facebook. As you may know, there has been a special little contest of sorts that has been going on Facebook. And with that said, I just want to say, if you know what I'm talking about because you're a friend of my Facebook, I'm about to announce what's called the secret word. Now, by announcing the secret word, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the heads up. And with the heads up, what's going to happen is, well, just that. You're going to have a heads up. So, the secret word is Sicilian. So, if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you definitely know what to do now. Do what you need to do right now. Very, very important. If you're not and you're wondering, what in the heck is he talking about? Well, that just means you got to go to my website, KevinAguilar.com, and from the main page, you can friend me on Facebook right there so you'll know more what's going on. Now, for those who don't know, I don't know, did we get the number in time? Oh, man, all right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hold that thought. I'm going to get some information for you in just a little bit, but I'm going to have a special number for you guys to call. And it's calling if you just want to treat yourself to lunch. That's right. Free lunch at Sparky's Pizza. And so stay tuned because in just a little bit, I'm going to have a number for you to call in. And if you're one of the first X amount of callers that calls into that number, you will win a free lunch to Sparky's. All right. The introduction is always the hardest, especially when I have so much on my mind. I'm so excited. Now, without any further delay, I'd like to introduce to you two very special guests on the internet and especially on Twitter. They're known as the Home Loan Ninjas. Let me introduce to you Jason Hillard and James Spooner. Welcome to the show.
Howdy.
Thanks.
Welcome. Are you guys ready?
I think so.
All right. Well, I'm excited about having you guys on the show. I think that you guys are going to bring to the table some great information, and I feel that it's going to be information that will be very useful to the people out there who are watching. Because, there's the word mortgage. There's been so much talk about it and so much everything that it's going to be good to get some clarity. Now, you guys on Twitter, as we're talking, if you have any questions for my experts, right there on the bottom of the screen, just tweet that in. Well, I'll be reviewing those, and you can ask your questions. But first, let's actually meet our guests. First, right here in the middle here, we have James. James, tell us a little about yourself and your role with the Home Loan Ninjas.
Well, I am the licensed portion of the product, I'll call it, for a lack of a better term. I've been in the mortgage industry for going on, this is my 9th year, so I've seen the good times, I've seen the bad times. I have a very folksy, homegrown attitude, so I like to simplify, to teach, to help people along in the process, to make them feel more comfortable with the process. Not only does it make their life easier, but obviously it makes my life easier when I have to deal with them. And so that's just, me in a nutshell. I love the feeling of getting somebody into their first home, going to that housewarming party. I don't usually make it, but, that mentality of when you bought your first home, how you felt, the pride of ownership and everything that goes along with it. So that's what drives me.
And people, this is obviously a huge deal because, people think, buying the car is the biggest purchase I'll make. That's not even close. It's going to be that home. So you're going to make sure you want to do it right. And these gentlemen are going to get you the first fundamental steps on making that happen. Our next guest, too, let me introduce Jason Hillard.
Howdy.
This is weird, okay, because I feel like I almost know you.
It's probably because I tweet about 70 times a day. So.
Yeah. So you guys know, because you guys watch my show, that I have now, about 3 weeks ago, I came out and I professed to all of you that, yes, I am a Twitter addict. However, I do believe there are worse cases of Twitter addiction, and that would be you.
Guilty.
So tell us, what is your role with the Home Loan Ninjas?
Okay, well, first of all, in our daily business dealings, obviously we don't spend all day on the website. As James said, he's the licensed mortgage professional, and so he meets with the clients and gets all their stuff together and helps them pick out the home loan option that works best for them. I'm more of a behind-the-scenes guy, process the paperwork, help him when there's underwriting guideline changes, which seem to happen about once every 1 to 2 hours. And so it's kind of my job to keep the back end of the business flowing. So that's kind of what I do, and then on top of that, I probably handle more of the website stuff, getting the information out there. So,
and then obviously these gentlemen have a fantastic website, and there's a couple ways you can get it. If you tweet me an email address, or if you want to go to my website, kevinaguilar.com, I do have a newsletter, and I will personally on Saturday email you the links to their website. So don't think you're going to be out of the loop. I just want to make sure I throw that out there.
Right on. And I want to thank you for making this an educational experience. We don't want to be the kind of people that are shamelessly self-promoting. That would be wrong. So,
that would be so wrong. That
yes,
would be so wrong.
Don't go to Twitter. It's bad. All right, I'm glad we
Thank
got
you.
that out of the way.
I'm glad
No
we got
problem.
that out of the
Subtle.
way.
Yes,
And
subtle.
if that was too small, you guys, I'll actually retweet it. That was good. That was good. So on your website, there's a lot of different functions. Let's talk about that really quick.
Yeah.
When people go to your website, what is it that they would see?
Well, okay, when you first get there, there's this gorgeous, gigantic web banner, but that's not really what people come there for. You're going to have the navigation bar right at the top, and that's going to tell you there's a welcome page, there's the mortgage blog, there's a section we call Ask the Ninjas, where we actually do video responses to questions that we get all the time from realtors and James's clients and stuff. And so that's part of it. Right underneath there's a slider that shows the most recent 10 posts, couple paragraphs about what we do, and then all of the links that I just showed you about Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, places where you can connect to us. So that's the website in a nutshell, and we post 2 to 3 times a week information that you're not really getting anywhere else as far as home loans go. So.
And try to make it succinct so you get a minute and a half video on a topic. It's not like you have to read a book or something on a specific topic to get your answer. So he tries to make it simple and clean and easy. So.
Exactly.
Alrighty. So I don't even, where do we begin? There's been so many changes, and I want to speak right now to not the person who's buying their 12th home just because of the fact that to them it's almost cookie cutter. They've gone through the process, they know what to expect. Right now, I want to speak to my people out there who maybe are contemplating and thinking about buying their first home. But they're scared. They've watched the news. Should we be afraid? Should we not even attempt it? Should we be afraid to even think about buying a home?
Well, I wouldn't say that. Certainly, there's a lot of fear out there, but one of the things that we've really been pushing in the information that we're getting out there is that the best thing that you can do is contact a licensed mortgage professional like James here 6 months before you want to enter the market. Now, if you see something that you got to have, you don't need to worry about the 6 months thing. But the reason why we say that is because the underwriting guidelines have tightened up so much that if you come to us 6 months before and you have some sort of credit issue, income issue, 6 months lets us get that out of the way so that you're prepared and that you don't fall in love with a house and you can't get it because of that bankruptcy that was only a year and a half ago. So that gives us time to address issues. And then after that, we deal with James's department, which is the application, and he'll walk you through that.
And just to go back to your point, everybody's situation is different. What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? I've told people it's probably not a good time for you to buy a house. I've had other people that, kick themselves because they didn't do it a year ago because they're afraid of it. So, it all goes back to you. The prices are down. The rates are still down. So from a generic standpoint, it's a good time to buy if that's in your goals and helps you out in the long term.
So, with that said, don't be afraid, but you're gonna have some homework. So you would say 6 months. Would that be the maximum, or would that be like the minimum time that you should prepare yourself? Because I'll be honest, I may not be the most patient person on earth. So would I be? If there's other people who are slightly impatient, or would you say that 6 months is too short? Would that be the shortest or longest time that you?
I'm thinking of a recent client here. James worked with them. I think you know who I'm talking about. They closed in November. I think they started talking to James 14 months ago.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, so 14 months before they closed their loan. There was an injury situation on the job, workman's comp issues, a lack of workman's comp issue. So, there's some special circumstances out there, but we're going to be straight up with you. So.
Excellent. I don't mean to laugh, but I think that you guys have a loyal following. And I'm in a few minutes. I need to ask you what is it about ham sandwiches? But we're gonna get to that in just a moment. All right, so 6 months.
I was gonna say, basically, from our perspective, if there's the biggest thing we run into for people is they have a credit issue. It might have been a mistake. It might not. We need to get it cleaned up before you're ready to buy the house. Typically, it's a 45 to 60-day process to fix something if there is a problem. A lot of people, there's no problem. So you can come and talk to me today and say, you're good. Go out, go shopping this weekend. Have a great time. And there's other people who say, let's sit down, let's fix this, let's fix this, let's fix this. It should only take you 60 days. Some people, it takes a year and a half. I say, hey, you'll be in great shape as soon as you pay off this collection. And, it's a matter of when can they afford to pay it off, how long does it take, or are they really motivated to do it,
Right.
So from your, the more somebody's impatient, the faster they get whatever I tell them to do done, fixed, so they're ready to buy a home.
Great. So then you'll get my loan in 3 months. All right. So right now, what's the biggest hurdle facing people in getting that first loan? Is it credit?
Well, from my perspective, I see a lot of the times when you think of a first-time home buyer,
yes,
you're thinking of the 22-year-old kid that's never bought anything, that hasn't had a lot of assets, doesn't have a lot of credit history. So we run into a lot of little ticky-tacky credit issues that we need to clean up to make them more attractive to a lender so their rate's better. Mm-hmm. Or they have no money down. And so we either need to shoehorn them in a program that has no money down options, which there's still a couple available, we'll get into that later, or figure out other options like, hey, you can get a gift from your mother in this program. So go talk to mom and see if you can sweet talk her into, gifting you enough money to get you out of her basement into your own house or out of that apartment that she hates, that kind of thing, mm-hmm. and spend it however you want. But technically, a first-time home buyer is anyone who hasn't owned a home in 3 years. So I think from your perspective, you're talking about the people, whether they're age 22 or 50, who they don't have the credit or the assets to go put 20% down and just.
I'm glad you mentioned 20% because that actually brings up we just got a tweet, and it's actually from Kelly, and I just wanted to really quick say, Kelly, thank you for the other day. You helped me go over the 900 mark and followers. So I haven't met you personally, but I want to say thank you, Kelly. And you just tweeted in. Kelly out there wants to know, are there any 100% loans out there for home buyers? Now, you just kind of mentioned 20%. So Kelly wants to know, is there any 100%
There are. There are a couple, and there used to be a lot of them, but they're a lot less now. So, couple different programs. The VA has a great program for our veterans. So if you served admirably in one of the branches of the military, the reserves, there's a whole list of things that qualify. So you didn't actually have to see combat to qualify for a VA loan. They'll do a 100% loan. The USDA, yes, I know you're thinking beef. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has a rural development loan, and to fit into that little criterion, there's restrictions on geography. But they're basing it off of a 1985 census of what is rural. So, you get out just west of Beaverton, it's rural, even though there's a strip mall on every corner still. In Clark County, Clackamas, it's all there. So we got links to their map on our site, so you can actually go in and see if an area, if you want to be in Oregon City, for example, you can do a 100% loan through the USDA. And then what else am I missing?
Neighborhood stabilization, and again, if you do get a gift, you're not supposed to pay it back. So technically, you haven't really put any money down. You've gotten a gift for 3.5%, got an FHA loan, which does 96.5. So that would be a no money down situation. And then there's neighborhood stabilization.
City of Bend is really good with that one.
Yeah, the City of Bend actually, from what I understand, their office there coordinates all of the neighborhood stabilization programs for the state of Oregon. And basically, that's the government gives you, we'll call it a grant. Mm-hmm. It's really a loan that doesn't have any interest, and if you live there a certain amount of time, you don't have to pay it back, type of thing. So that is another way to get it. But those programs, there used to be all kinds of down payment assistance programs, and now it's really limited.
So we got our 6 months preparation, making sure credit's clean, all that good stuff. Then we, of course, a little bit about the down payments. Now, let's talk about employment. Our dear friend Tim over there, he's been at his current job for 6 months, and he wants to open up a deli and serve ham sandwiches. All right. So with that said, all right, so employment. So here's the deal. I've been at my job for 15 years. I want to go ahead and I want to follow my life's dream. But at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and I want to buy a house. Should I stay at my current job for 15 years, get the house, and then go pursue the dream? Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Well, yeah, you're talking about becoming self-employed as a big generic rule.
Yes.
Self-employed people, and there's going to be exceptions to everything I say here tonight, so take it with a grain of salt. There's always loopholes and backdoors and yay or nay and gray areas. But for the most part, we want to see 2 years of self-employment. And what we see with a lot of self-employed people is that they write a lot of stuff off. So we have to use what they tell the IRS as their income after their expenses. So is what we run into a lot of times with the self-employed people is the paperwork goes from this thick to this thick, and every little I had to be dotted and T's crossed. So it gets a lot more difficult. So I always tell people, that W-2 wage is so much easier to deal with than the self-employed. It doesn't mean we can't do self-employed. It just means that if you're going to switch in the next 6 months, just keep your current job, do that, and then,
And if you're self-employed, your CPA's job is to make sure you can't qualify for a home loan. They want you to write off everything possible, and that's understandable. I mean,
Right.
We're self-employed, and we do that too, but we're not buying houses.
Right.
And if you tell the government you only make $13,000, that's what the underwriter sees too. So
Good point.
double-edged sword, I believe, would be a segue.
mine's actually single, but
Okay.
yeah.
He loves to play with
Hi,
that whenever he
Tim.
can, so I had to give an excuse.
cute prop there. Okay, and that wasn't too. I was almost expecting that because I had seen through Twitter about props and stuff. So now, let's say here, first time home buyer, and you've been watching MTV, so you want to buy a crib, right? So I mean, realistically, what is it like? What do you look at? How do you tell people really how much home they can buy? Because you know what? I know my income's X, but I want the MTV's crib.
It's a lot of math. No, not really. It's actually pretty easy. Again, there the gray area and everything, but ideally situation, we look at what we call a back-end debt to income ratio, and I'll get a little more explain the technical side or pawn it off on him. But the debt to income ratio, what we look at is 43% of your gross income. So if you make $1,000 a month, everything we do is in So just as a generic, $100 a month, just to make the math easy for me, is $100 times 0.43, you get 43%. And that shows for everything that shows up on your credit report. So your car loans, your student loans, your minimum payments on credit cards, and then the new mortgage payment that we're going to talk
It
about.
all has to fit into that 43%.
And then we just kind of work backwards and say, okay, at today's interest rate, that equals X number of a house. And I'm glad you brought that up, because part of that process we talk about 6 months ahead of time is I can sit down with somebody and say, okay, you're approved for $200,000. Go find a house. Well, I don't know how many times I've sat down with somebody and say, I found the house of my dream. And I say, great, you're approved for $200,000. They go, but the one I want's $250,000. And it's like, well, shrink down your goals a little bit here. And it's real hard to go backwards, but if you have that in mind before you go house shopping, mentally you're there and you don't find the house of your dream and realize you can't afford it and not really happy with what is a suitable house for a first-time home buyer, grow with.
We got 3 good questions, but I'm just curious, how involved or how directly do you work with, sometimes, the realtor? So let's say I call up Mike Can Do It, and I have him say, I want to hire you as my realtor.
Hi, Mike.
And then you guys, are you guys at all? Or is it pretty much?
I have, in the last, year, he's got certain realtors that he's been working with forever, but what we've done with the website is provide a little bit of a resource for realtors as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been doing a lot of talking with realtors like Mike. And
Have you met Mike?
I've met Mike.
I haven't yet.
He's a great guy.
We're supposed to have coffee, and it hasn't happened yet. Can you imagine?
Well, he probably drank it before you got there and just
Seriously?
left. He loves coffee.
He needs to skip one of his basketball games and meet me.
Actually, what's funny is he runs a site called Porrigan, all about beer. And
he was on my show. I talked to him. Yeah, I
I
talked
don't
to him
think he's a
briefly.
beer drinker.
Interesting. Okay. All right, so
Controversy.
really quick here, a couple quick questions. I'm going to start throwing them out there because we've got a backlog of questions.
Awesome.
All right, so real quick here. Does someone with less than stellar credit truly have to have a down payment and they're not a veteran? PDX Artcraft wants to know.
Hi, Barbara.
The short, quick answer is there's a minimum standard for any loan program. Years ago, it was 500. Now we're realistically in that 640 range. There's exceptions, there's loopholes and stuff. So basically, we have a minimum mark that we need to get to qualify for any program. The improvement in the credit from that point makes your rate better. So you qualify, it just, can we get your rate down a little bit from
And
there?
if I could, the different programs, FHA, VA, USDA, they have different credit requirements, and they also have different hits to your rate for the credit. So someone with a 620 credit score on a conventional loan would get a terrible rate, but if they went FHA, it could be very affordable for them. So
That's part of our job, is to say, what are your strengths, what are your minuses? Let's put them all together and see which one works best for you.
Excellent, excellent. All right, Portland Service wants to know, what credit score do I need to qualify for a home loan?
Again, going back to that same answer, FHA is a little more forgiving than conforming. Realistically, to have the best rate on conforming, you need a 720 credit score. To be in a FHA, you're looking at realistically 640 right now. So, and like I said, there's a million factors, so it's a generic answer, so don't go to the bank with that one and start whining that they can't.
every bank has a different minimum sometimes,
Okay,
too.
so really quick here, before I forget, you guys, so Facebook, you had the heads up. If you're not on Facebook and you want lunch on me, Compliments of Sparky's, I'm going to put the information on the screen as we ask our last 2 final questions. The final, of the 2 last questions, the one of them is going to be from Cheryl. And do you not eat Reuben sandwiches?
I do. I eat many sandwiches, and Cheryl, all your ham sandwiches belong to me.
And then, of course, Mike, I have a question for you personally, and that is, how much time do we got, Ben?
Just over a minute.
Just over a minute. All right. So real quick, you guys, before I ask my big question, I want to go ahead and just, again, that number right there, call that number, say I'm watching Kevin's show and I want a free lunch.
don't
Now,
think we
there's a
qualify.
limited amount so of how many free lunches at Sparky's are going to be given out. So Sparky's Pizza, Todd out there, thank you so much for doing that. And I apologize to your staff, for everyone who's calling. In the final minute, I want to ask my question.
Oh,
Because
boy.
I do. It's my show, right? So I get a credit. All right.
You do get one.
Here it is. This was great, and we know we're near touched. Anything I expected to went by so fast. I would like to personally invite you guys to come again.
I'd love to. Yeah, that would be great.
See, and that's always the danger, because you guys could have said, no, this is live TV, and that would have been very awkward.
No, this it's actually been real fun. I was worried, but this is simple.
Yeah, we didn't even get near all the tweets and stuff. You guys and audience out there, thank you guys so much for watching the show. And hopefully you'll be better prepared for next time with your mortgage questions. And I think what we're going to do next time is we're going to just have like 3 different topics. And we're just going to hit those 3 topics. And then I'm going to have these guys on every couple months. And then we're going to go through the whole process from A to Z by the end of the year. So thank you both, gentlemen. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, James, for being on the show.
Thank you much.
Thank you
Thanks
guys for
for having us.
watching. Have a great night.
Sayonara.
Half an hour went by, you guys.
Dude, that was amazing.
That was just amazing. That Sparky's rocks. No, I have not met Mike. No, and we